Aga! Welcome! I've got 5 albums, 5 LPs, all by the same group to show you today. All bought from Discogs. It's kind of a mini haul, this. From 2 different Discogs sellers, 1 single album on its own, and then there's a bundle of 4. It doesn't really matter. That's just me giving you some additional and therefore useless information. I decided to get some more albums by this group because they were cheap. Simple as that, and I've enjoyed this band's work, particularly this year, and I thought I'd fill some holes in the collection. And there's still more holes to fill, because this is a band that technically have been going since, I think, the late 60s, early 70s. I do have their debut album from 1973 to show you, and that's what I'm going to show you first. I'm, of course, talking about Clannad. This is their self-titled debut album. This is thereabouts an original pressing, so this will now be kind of physically one of the oldest records, one of the oldest albums, certainly in my collection. This should be a fairly quick video. It's what I like to call sort of record collecting housekeeping, really, where I just show you what I've bought and then kind of move on to the next thing. There's no coloured vinyl here to show you in this video. Sorry, colour vinyl fans. But we'll have a little quick look at the inner. It's one of those really old-fashioned, musty-smelling ones that doesn't smell unpleasant, but you perhaps wouldn't want that as your type of cologne either. But happy to have Clannad's debut album from 1973. I really like the sleeve on this as well, with this sort of real kind of Celtic emblem on it. I don't think this is an Irish pressing. There was no UK pressings for Clannad in the 70s at least. I think they came along in the 80s once Clannad had actually broken through to the United Kingdom, but they would have been available in the UK. It just would have been on Irish import. I've not listened to any of these yet. This was just a single purchase from Discogs. Wouldn't have been much, maybe around £7 including postage. The next 4, still Clannad obviously, all from the one seller. I think altogether, including postage, and he only charged me like 1 lot of postage even though there's 4 records here. The total price was about £20.40 something, £20.50 pushing. For 4 albums, 20 quid, you can't complain. And you can't complain about the follow-up to the self-titled Clannad. 2 years later, 1975, Clannad 2. And, yes, I believe this is a US import. There's actually very few kind of original Irish pressings here. In fact, I don't think there is any. But it doesn't matter, it's just the albums that I want. I think this edition of Clannad 2 may have come out a few years after its original 1975 release date. 1979's ringing a bell, but it doesn't really matter. This is a very nice condition copy, this, actually. All these came separated out. There again, another presumably original plain inner sleeve there. Can't tell you anything that's on it, but I've got the first 2 Clannad studio albums now, and very happy. What didn't make me happy was my own foolishness. I was hoping that this video would actually be showing you 6 Clannad albums, because there was an eBay auction that I was watching for their 3rd studio album, and like a fool, I forgot all about it, and then by the time I realised I missed out on the album. I will pick up that particular LP from eBay or Discogs or wherever at some point. It's not overly expensive. It was just a better price on eBay than on Discogs, but I missed out. But this is a marathon, not a sprint. So we move away from Clannad from the 70s and go straight into the 80s. You'll have seen a couple of 1980s Clannad albums. In fact, you'll have seen 4 of them altogether on this channel. There was the 2 that were reissued in more recent years on coloured vinyl, and there was a couple that I bought from Atlas Records not too long ago. I did a video on that, and that was Magical Ring from 1983 and Past Present, which is like a compilation from I think 1989. So we go to 1984 now, so we jump 9 years ahead of Clannad 2 for Legend. And if you couldn't tell, this is actually a soundtrack album, because it's the soundtrack for the ITV series Robin of Sherwood. Clannad did the theme to that and all the incidental music. I've never seen Robin of Sherwood. I've been reading up about it today, actually, having a look at who was in it and if it got good reviews at the time. I kind of very vaguely remember it being on TV, because 1984 I was, 3-4 years old. There's Robin himself, look, played by Michael Praed. I think that's how you pronounce his name. There again, another really nice condition copy for an original. This will be a UK pressing most likely, as all the Clannad albums from Magical Ring onwards certainly were being released properly in the United Kingdom. It's got a very nice, proper printed inner here as well. Some nice cast photos of the Robin of Sherwood cast. I'm kind of tempted to try and find Robin of Sherwood on Blu-ray for cheap, actually, just to kind of give it a go. I suppose partly because of the music, but the legend of Robin Hood, I mean, as far as local, to me, legends go, it doesn't really get any more local. You know, Nottingham and everything. Just having this soundtrack album and then reading about Robin of Sherwood, and it looks quite a good series. It was like a sort of tea time family drama, but I think for its time, it had a fair bit of violence in it, and I think it was quite controversial, really, the series. And obviously Clannad, with them having their sort of folk / new age / Celtic sounds, I think were the perfect band to be doing the soundtrack for that sort of medieval set, ethereal fantasy, yet some of it supposedly rooted in ancient history kind of series. So yeah, you never know, I might pick up Robin of Sherwood one day, but I've got the album because it's part of the Clannad library. Legend there, aka the Robin of Sherwood soundtrack from, I believe, 1984. Penultimate Clannad album is one from, I think this was 85 or 86. I'm starting to forget now when some of these are out. This is, and I do apologise for butchering the beautiful Gaelic language, but this album is Macala, or Macala. This one again in really nice condition. Whoever owned these previously has really looked after his records, or her, could be a bird. Very happy to have picked these four up in particular for little over £20, as they're all in really nice nick, really. Nice sleeve there. We can see Moira Brennan on the front there. She was of course the main vocalist, or certainly the sole female vocalist for Clannad. And Macala, or Macalla, is Irish or Gaelic for echo. So there we are. And finally, and I've done this, I think, in the right chronological order, although I'm kind of doubting myself now, but here's the last Clannad album from this particular mini-haul. This was from, I want to say around 87 or 88. I'll guess at 87. This is Sirius. And this is the only gatefold album that I picked up in this haul. Once again, like Legend and Macalla, this one, I believe, is a UK pressing. I don't really mind what pressings I'm getting, really, here, as long as I'm getting some bargains. Good condition gatefold sleeve here. Opens out to a typically Irish sort of stormy scene there. I think that'll be all lyrics and stuff. Certainly by this point, I think certainly by the previous album actually, Clannad had really sort of taken on a more pop rock kind of vibe. They'd sort of done the new age thing with Magical Ring and Legend, and then from Macalla and Sirius onwards, they had that kind of American sort of radio rock kind of influence, really, which for me, I can take or leave some of that, but I've got a couple of Clannad compilations, so I've already heard certain tracks off all these albums. They're just a great group, you know. I love Irish music, love Irish culture, and although, yeah, they were kind of maybe tried a little bit too hard to stay mainstream by this point, and I do prefer the sort of more early, pure Celtic kind of sound. There's still been some good stuff on here. So there we are. That was 5 Clannad albums. Should have been 6, but my own inability to check eBay auctions that I'm watching, and I missed out on, and no one bought that 3rd studio album, but hopefully I will show it on the channel at some point. But I thought I'd do this video today to show you these 5 Discogs purchases. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this look at 5 Clannad studio albums. Their first 2 from the 1970s, and then 3 more throughout their arguably commercial peak in the mid to late 1980s. Special thanks go, as always, to my wonderful subscribers and generous patrons. Love you all. Please see my Patreon link and my Facebook group link down in the description text box. There is, of course, also a link for Urban Jungle Contents Insurance. I'm going to go now, and I'm going to listen to these Clannad albums, probably in chronological order. It doesn't matter. I haven't bought them necessarily in chronological order, because you've seen 4 previously that were sort of dotted around the 1980s. But I kind of do that when I've got like a bundle of more than one item from the same artist. It's just the way I am. And I do hope that all of you will join me again next time for my next record collecting video. Cheers, everyone. See ya!